Good morning, everybody. How are you? Thumbs up. Can you hear me?
Morning, Carl.
Great. I am. I'm taking a break from my desk, and I am sitting out in the main area of our new office, the world headquarters of the Columbia Chamber, and so change of scenery is important. So at least for me on a Friday. So let's see what we got here. All right. It's 9:01. I'm gonna get going, and those that can join us a little bit later can do it. Busy week this week, huh? It's almost like we're into a routine. So thanks for joining, and glad y'all could be with us on a beautiful spring day. I guess the temperature is warming up a little bit, but man alive, have we enjoyed a fantastic spring. I have been in Columbia almost 20 years, and this by far has been the best spring. So that if there's a silver lining to COVID, it's been awesome outside. Anyway, let's get to it. I want to talk about 3 or 4 things that happened this week, and then I'll be happy to answer questions or do whatever. So housekeeping, if you have a question, knock it in the chat box, or you can always send an email to info@columbiachamber.com, and we'll if you have some questions, you need some help getting some answers, we're happy to do that. So big week this week on a couple fronts on Capitol in DC as well as here in Columbia. Well, let's get at DC first. So the phase 4 of the COVID response was introduced in the House and the Senate this week. At least the Democrats' version in the House was a $3 trillion package, which less than 36 hours after the fact was amended by the House Democrats. I guess they wanted to give everybody that had a student loan a $10,000 waiver, and they've taken that out. It's need-based now. But anyway, all for student debt forgiveness, but $3 trillion is a lot, excuse me. Overall, if you think about the week as a whole, we had more cases, obviously, of COVID in South Carolina, 172 yesterday. We're going to still see that number rise because testing is more prevalent now. You're seeing Asia and other parts of the world that are seeing a spike in cases because the complacency issue. So we got to be mindful to keep your family safe, keep your employees safe, your customers safe, make them wear some protective gear, and don't get too complacent because this thing is still among us. And so, which is what the feds are trying to do to help stimulate the economy with, since for the last 8 weeks, South Carolina has received $6.87 billion. $6.87 billion in federal relief. And that's through the CARES Act as well as through the PPP, or Small Business Main Street, whatever. That's total dollars flowing through. And that's astounding. And I got that number from Governor McMaster yesterday on a conference call. But that is, wow. If you go to the grocery store and shopping more, you'll see grocery store prices have increased about 2.6%. The largest increase in a month in over 50 years. That's also very, very interesting stuff. I think, so Congress doing their HEROES Act, because of the difference between the House and the Senate plans, it won't get a vote. They're thinking now. They were hoping today at the earliest, maybe next week. That won't happen. I think they're too far away, and so they've got to find out some compromise language. So I suspect it'll be June before we see that. On a side note, because it is all about us, at the Chamber, both House and the Senate versions included language to allow 501c6s to receive the payroll protection, which is a big deal for us, by the way. All right, let's talk about General Assembly for a second. General Assembly came in for a day on Tuesday. The most productive day I've seen in a long time, quite frankly. They were in and out. It was beautiful. They did get they worked out a budget compromise to allow government to be funded at its current at a current level until they can come back in September and do a full budget in September. But while they were here, they did a couple big things that were on our agenda, quite frankly. The Charleston and Greenville chambers all supported a bill to allow military spouses. Hiring military spouses has been an issue, and gave military spouses reciprocity in some fields to allow them to get jobs, which helps our servicemen. That they passed that bill out. They passed an absentee voting bill that's significant for those that have some reluctance of going to vote on in 3 weeks. So they allowed absentee voting without giving an excuse. And the big one for me was they passed the reauthorization of the Angel Investment Act. So companies or individuals can see a tax credit for investing in angel investment funds, which are basically small business engines for us in South Carolina. So good stuff there. Disappointed they did not discuss, chat about liability coverage during COVID, but we'll be working with them throughout the summer, our delegation members, to at least address liability concerns that businesses have during these untroubled times. And let me tell you, Congress has not addressed it either. So we've got, we brought that up. Several people brought it up on a phone call yesterday with Governor McMaster, and they're fully aware of the issue. It's how do we fix it? And it's going to take a little bit of time. So those two things were real positive. This movements this week. We had an interesting conversation on Thursday. Tuesday. My days are running. Sorry. Tuesday we had, I think it's Tuesday. We had Bob Caslin on our webinar this week, president of the University of South Carolina, and he did a phenomenal job talking to our leadership, Columbia Alumni Association, and talking about leadership. And so that's posted on our website. So if you've got a few minutes, I think he talked about 30 minutes, but he did a marvelous job. And one of my favorite takeaways was character swallows competence every day. So we're talking about leadership and how do you work with your employees, your team members, family members, or whatever. But he gave some great takeaways. So I would highly suggest catching that on our website. But you expect that from generals to have good conversations on leadership, and he did not disappoint at all. So happy to give that to y'all to take a look at. In the coming weeks, we're going to shift a little bit as we've been focused on recovery, things to do to get back to business. But there are a lot of issues going on right now. So we're going to have some folks talking about mental health. We're going to talk about transformational issues in the corporate, the commercial real estate market. These are all topics we're going to be talking about over the next coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. We're also planning a big town hall style meeting virtually, of course. We've got some elections coming up, and so we've got county council races coming up that we've got to talk about. We spent a good chunk of time this week with the Building Industry Association, as well as the Realtors Association and the Chamber, interviewing candidates for Richland County and Lexington County Council. They've actually fallen below the radar, right, on all this stuff, but those are crucial elections. And so we've got another round of interviews next week, and we'll let you know how those go and what our thoughts are on those elections coming up shortly. But do recognize that county elections are coming up as well. Primaries, obviously, in a matter of weeks, and with general election in November, but those are crucial as we go forward. Mary Louise wants to give a shout out right quick, and I certainly will lend this forum for you for a second. So Mary Louise, can you share your news?
Okay, now that I'm unmuted,
yeah,
takes a minute. We were very fortunate this week. Two of our community corporate partners stepped up in a big way. Food Lion just donated $3,000 worth of gift cards to be used both for COVID-19 and tornado relief. So I wanted to do a big shout out, especially to the 5 Point store where the cards came from. I also wanted to thank the Home Depot Foundation for an additional $3,000 that will be used for construction materials for tornado recovery. We can't do this without our corporate partners, and I thought this was a good venue to say thank you to the corporate community in general. So thanks, guys.
Yeah. So just for edification there, Mary Louise is with Habitat for Humanity. They do a great job in our community. So thanks to their partners for helping them out. All right, I've gone through a bunch of stuff. I've got a few more things, but want to make sure if y'all need anything or have shout outs, feel free to, this is a good opportunity. I don't see anything in the chat right this minute, but if you do have a comment, feel free. On that note, we are in our new space, and it's, we've closed on Fridays, but I'm on my iPad today. So we are sitting in the, by the way, that's Sumter Street out there. And anyway, we're loving our new space and loving the ability to walk around the business district. We have some great partners as well in connecting elements and corporate concepts, and Telesystems, Reliable's on here, Reliable Technology. Undergrad Moving did a phenomenal job busting their fannies to get us in here. But what good partners that we have really helped this transition as we're into the 21st century facilities. It's awesome. All right, what's coming up next week? Well, as we approach Memorial Day, and it's a different Memorial Day, right? First time AAA has said, last year we had record number of cars travel on the road. I mean, last year at record highs, this year going to be at record lows. And AAA is not even projecting numbers because of the record lows, but it's certainly different. And I think we're all going to be working through this for a while. You know, the more we get into this, the more we recognize that the economy is slowing continuously. Even though we're coming back to work, consumer confidence is not there. And so we've got a mayor's economic recovery task force meeting later on today. And the big issue that I have is, how do we help instill consumer confidence in people? As the business community, it's important that we get people back into our stores and back to feeling like they can be safe. And so it's part of the business community's responsibility to make sure that our workspaces are clean and safe, our employees feel comfortable and safe. And so the longer each day, it does help. And so having restaurants open this week certainly validates some confidence issues. That's good. People are slowly getting back. Walking up and down Main Street this week, there you could see the number of people grow every day, which is good. But we've got to do more. And I do think that it's just going to be a slow and different summer. Obviously, childcare prevents a lot of folks from having parents to go back to work full time. I know a lot of friends that are ping ponging their morning shift or afternoon shift to deal with kids, and I did that plenty earlier on, and I'm glad my kids are a little bit older. All right, let's see. How about any other thoughts, comments? Nice digs. Thanks for the comment. We really are excited about these new spaces, but just the walkability is huge. Anybody hear anything that we need to know about? I think there's a raising hand thing, but okay. Y'all have not had enough coffee apparently this morning. I haven't either, for the record. I am going to take just Ashley Lambert at Steel Hands did say she would like to have us over for coffee lager with Carl one afternoon, and I'm game for that. Anytime. Is 4 o'clock okay one afternoon? Is that too early? Too late? Okay, I'll make a judgment call on that. All right. Well, I don't want to waste y'all's time, but I do, again, there was a lot of good news and progress this week from Congress as well as our General Assembly. Be on the lookout. There is a little turf war growing with the General Assembly and the governor's office on how to spend $1.8 billion coming down from the feds. Who's got responsibility? That's got to be something we watch. The Columbia Chamber, along with the Greenville Chamber and the Charleston Chamber, have notified our friends on Accelerate SC, the governor's task force, to open up South Carolina, and we have requested some of that $1.8 billion to be used for small business grants and loans. We think it's important. The feds did a good job, but in just a lot of ways, folks that could not qualify for the PPP, they were able to get a city of Columbia loan or even a county, Richland County loan. Those dollars are few and far between. And so we've got to take care of our small businesses. So hopefully the state will see the value in doing that as well. We've requested $100 million across the state to get some of those dollars. Adam Vance with Sound and Images sent a question, but I can't get to it right this minute, Adam. For some reason, it's not letting me on. So you want to say it out loud, or you want me to check an email and call you back? Yes,
hey, it's
sir.
Adam, everybody. Not that you know the answer to it right away, but I've been getting asked on the event side, especially with all the graduations that are working it out, to what's the max capacity for an event, specifically indoors. I think it's like 10 people per every 500 square feet, up to 250 people. These families are concerned. They want to do an outdoors, so it's outside, but they don't want to invest in a tent, tables, chairs, etc. They're going to do a larger tent than normal, spread the families who will sit with their own family individually at tables around the tent. They don't want to invest that money and then all of a sudden, someone show up and shut it down after everything's been done. And this is a smaller event, 60, 70 people. But anyway, if you just had any kind of word at the meetings as far as outdoor events and capacity.
No, I think Accelerate SC has been dealing with that, and we'll be coming out with some recommendations over the next couple of weeks. I think you'll know more by June 1st, or at least the next week or so. This is where we're going to get into some, everybody's ready and they feel comfortable around the people that they've been around. That doesn't mean other people that you don't know may not be comfortable in seeing groups of this much. And so it's that balance in the public sentiment versus what the science says. So I do think Rich made a comment that's valuable. I mean, I think that they'll raise those numbers every 2 weeks or so. I've got a senior that's graduating, and we can only take 2 folks to our graduation. So it's unfortunate, but thank goodness they're going to be streaming it. We can share it with family members, but it's poor timing on their part, and I hate it for the seniors that are going to be graduating, and the families are excited for their children. But public safety is probably trumps everything right now. Again, look at the cases in Europe and in Asia that have gone down. They're opening back up, but they're seeing another spike. It's not a second wave. It's just the virus is still out there. And with more of those accounts, I think the governments will pull back just a little bit on opening too fast. That's my opinion. I think you'll see some reluctance on full-scale groupings as we go forward. I know the convention center has some events planned for July, and hopefully by then we'll be good to go. By then, the heat and humidity of Columbia is going to be our friend. So anyway, good question there. If I hear more, Adam, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Taylor, Experience Columbia, that's hats off to our restaurants in the city. I feel like they're doing a great job to ensure safety and all the new regulations. I've been to Market on Main, Tin Roof, Henry's Cantina since things are open up. Great job. Hey, Taylor, you're exactly right. I have witnessed, I've just been walking around and just taking note of what everybody's been doing. And the patrons seem to be very, very patient with the staff and recognizing that as soon as the table clears, you can't jump on it. You got to wash it down and coat it with all the chemicals that you need. I think everybody's done a great job. Restaurants and the management and owners really recognize the importance of getting it right. And so I think the work that was done by the National Association of Restaurateurs and the local chapter here, Bobby Williams has done a phenomenal job with the help of John Durst and Accelerate team of getting those restaurants ready. It's not perfect and supply chains are not there yet, but hopefully we'll start seeing a steady rate of opening up here soon. All right, good comment there, Taylor. Susan, yeah, thank you. We do have a military outreach meeting on May 26th, Zoom call. We've got we got the A-team coming to join us on that meeting. General Beagle, Van McCarty he's our Adjutant General of South Carolina, and Major General Grimsley, who just took over as the Secretary of Veterans Affairs for the state of South Carolina, who I've not had the pleasure of meeting, but I look forward to seeing him on our call on the 26th. So put that down. We've got a packed house. Anyway, yes, South Carolina Restaurant Association has got some serve safe training that they put on there. So check out if you got a restaurant, know what, or have friends that are opening, they need to see all that. All right, guys, thank y'all very much. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy. Make sure you cut your phones off and enjoy your time at home and your family. So we'll do this again next week. But thanks again for all our partners. Thank y'all for tuning in. Sorry y'all don't have anything better to do on a Friday morning, but I'm thrilled that y'all are here with me. So be safe, be careful. See you next week.